Can you beat Pokemon Silver with only a Chikorita? I honestly feel bad for Chikorita. Chikorita has the reputation of being one of the worst starter choices in any Pokemon game, and kind of rightfully so. But it's not entirely Chikorita's fault. The Johto region is just absolutely stacked against grass types. Not only that, but grass types are widely available in the early game. Bottom line is, despite the fact that Chikorita line isn't terrible, it just makes the game so much harder to pick him as a starter. But for those of you who have been here before, you know that I don't like to shy away from a challenge. So we're going to see if we can beat the entire game using only a Chikorita. The rules of this playthrough are pretty simple. I can only use Chikorita in battle. I can catch other Pokemon to use for HMs, since it would be impossible to beat this game without them, but they cannot be used in any of the battles, including against wild Pokemon. I will also not be using any items in battle, and I will be doing what I call incremental leveling as I play through the game. This means that if I get walled, I will level up a few levels and try again. I'm sure I could just get Chikorita to level 100 early on and this would be a breeze, but like I said, I want this to be a challenge. So with that out of the way, let's jump on in and see if this is possible. So the start of the game is actually pretty straightforward. I took Chikorita as the starter and named him the Kid, since that is what he's always going to be. We went to see Mr. Pokemon, and on the way back, we took out our rival, which once again was pretty easy since the game is designed around you having a Chikorita at this point. I decided the only logical nickname for our rival was to name him Johto, since clearly this anti-grass type region was the real enemy here. From here, we headed to Violet City, where we scaled the Sprout Tower and defeated the Sage at the top with no real issues. At this point, it was time for the first gym leader, Faulkner. Being a flying type specialist, this was the first real obstacle for the run, since our poor little Chikorita was at a disadvantage here. But, thankfully, just by doing the battles on the way to the gym, we had a pretty decent level advantage that more than made up for that, and we clutched it out on the first try to get the badge. I promise the run is not going to stay this easy. We were given the Togepi egg from the professor's assistant, which we immediately put in the box forever. I had no need for it, so why bother? The route down to Azalea Town was incredibly uneventful, as were the Rocket Grunts and the Slowpoke Well, so we have now reached the first major roadblock of the run, Bugsy. As you would expect by his name, Bugsy specializes in Bug-type Pokemon, which is yet another type that we are weak to. Not only that, but his Scyther has the signature move Fury Cutter, which is a stab bug move that gets stronger the more times it is used in a row. And if that isn't bad enough, his Kakuna will almost always poison you, meaning that you're on a timer from that point on. The first time we made it to Bugsy, we were level 20, but we weren't even able to make a dent in the Scyther before being taken down. So, I tried again at level 21, and it went the exact same way, taken down before Scyther could even break a sweat. This time I tried at level 25. I thought I could hang on long enough with Synthesis that we could clutch it out, but with Fury Cutter getting stronger each term, it was no use. So we went back to grinding, and this time we reached level 29 where the Kid learned Body Slam, which is a far better move than Tackle. So we went back in, made it past Metapod and Kakuna without taking any damage, and finally we were strong enough to take down the Scyther, a Pokemon that was 13 levels below us. Yeah, I'm not feeling great about the rest of this run. After that, we had another fight with the rival, but due to our crazy level advantage, it was a breeze. So we made it to the Ilex Forest, got the HM for Cut, and caught a Bellsprout to keep as an HM user, since that is allowed per the rules. After that, it was time to take on one of the most brutal gym leaders in all of Pokemon, Whitney. Whitney's Miltank is often known as one of the biggest roadblocks for any mainline Pokemon game. This menace has a nasty moveset filled with healing moves, flinching moves, and hard-hitting moves that can trip up even the most seasoned Pokemon veteran. I knew that if we were to beat her, it would take every ounce of gaming skill that I had. Nah, I'm just playing. She wasn't that bad. She was able to beat us on the first attempt, but we were 10 levels higher and for once didn't have a type disadvantage, so try number 2 was pretty clean. We headed north and got the Squirt Bottle to move the pesky Sudowoodo that was in our way, which thankfully for once we had a type advantage over, so that was a pretty easy W. On the way, a security guard trusted us with a Spearow to deliver a message to a friend of his, which I abruptly did because I'm not some kind of Pokemon-stealing scumbag. It was just the right thing to do. From there, we went to Ecruteak City and the Burnt Tower to once again face off with our rival, which we lost. Yeah, due to the unfortunate combo of Curse and Bad Confusion RNG, he took us down pretty easily. Then the second time, we were paralyzed on top of that, so we didn't even make it past his first Pokemon. Thankfully, third time was the charm, and we made it past this annoying roadblock. But little did I know we were about to face an even bigger challenge. Morty. And this time, no, I'm not kidding. Morty is the Ghost-type specialist, but he might as well be known as a poison specialist as well, since he only uses the Gengar line on his team. This means that not only can we not hit his Pokemon with Body Slam, our strongest move, but all of our grass moves are resisted due to a secondary typing. Long story short, if you were building a team specifically to counter a Chikorita, this is how you would do it. After a dozen attempts at level 35, we were barely able to make it to his Gengar without being completely demolished, especially since he loved to use Curse and put us to sleep to eat our dreams. I knew there was no way at our current level we were going to be able to do this, so I decided to do everything else that we could do in the area before taking him on again. I made my way west to Olivine City and scaled the lighthouse, taking out all the trainers on my path for experience. Thankfully, most of them used types that we were either strong against or neutral towards, so it was pretty uneventful. Jasmine asked us to help her, but sadly, since you can't use Surf until defeating Morty, we had to put this quest on hold. Speaking of things I put on hold, if you're enjoying this video, please leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Also, feel free to check me out over on Twitch. I'm live most nights at 7:15 Eastern and would love to see you come by. I went back to Eckertique and defeated all of the Kimono girls, which you have to do to get the HM for Surf. And when all was said and done, this is where we were at. Chikorita was up to level 39 and knew Body Slam, Poison Powder, Razor Leaf, and Synthesis. Sadly, the first two moves were literally useless against Morty since they didn't affect his Pokemon, so we would have to make do with Razor Leaf to deal damage and Synthesis to heal, since once again I'm not using any items in battle. So we headed back over to him, and once again he destroyed us. We would get close to the end, we would either get put to sleep by his Gengar or paralyzed by his Ghastly, which when dealing with the residual damage from Curse was a run-ender for us. I knew that if we could get one attempt where we did not end up with a status affliction, we could make this happen. And finally we were able to do just that. We hit Ghastly with a Razor Leaf right before he took himself out with Curse, which sadly seemed to be unavoidable in any of the runs. His Haunter went for Hypnosis and missed, which was an amazing break for us and we were able to take him out. He then sent out his Gengar and we nailed a clutch critical hit with Razor Leaf, followed by him missing another Hypnosis. I doubled down and attacked again, and RNGesus must have been on our side, since he missed yet another Hypnosis. I decided that instead of risking our luck with a heal, it would be better to take him out, which is exactly what we did. He then sent out his final Haunter, but our health was so low that I decided to use that first turn to heal with Synthesis. Thankfully, he went for a Mean Look, which doesn't really matter since we're only using Chikorita anyways. I attacked with Razor Leaf and he went for Spite, which lowered our remaining Razor Leaf PP. I healed again and he went for Nightshade, which always does damage equal to his level. I had to heal once again and he went for Spite, meaning we were no longer able to use Synthesis for the rest of the battle. So with about half our health left, I attacked and he lived with what must have been 1 HP. We attacked again and missed, which I thought was the end of the match, but thank God he went for Spite again. The Curse damage left us on 1 HP, and this time we hit a Razor Leaf to take him out, winning the match. I'm convinced that if I had done that fight 100 times, we would only be able to win it once, since we really had to clutch that one out. But, thankfully, we got the 4th badge and we were able to move on and continue our journey. I went back and caught a Slowpoke for Surf, and was able to head to Cianwood City. However, I forgot I needed Strength in order to take on Chuck's gym, so I had to go all the way back to Olivine to grab that before taking on the next gym leader. Thankfully for us, Chuck only uses 2 Pokemon, and one of them, his Ace Poliwrath, is also a Water type, meaning for once we had an advantage. At level 41, we took on the gym, and it was pretty much free. Which honestly, after the hell that was Morty's gym, I'll take that. Sadly, the good vibes didn't last long, as we were now on to face the Steel-type specialist, Jasmine. Jasmine's team consists of 2 Magnemites and a Steelix. Both of her Magnemites resist all of our attacking moves, and were not able to poison any of her Pokemon due to the Steel-type being immune. She led off with her first Magnemite, who was a real pain in the ass. The little bastard led off the battle with Thunder Wave, which paralyzed us on the first turn. We thankfully took it out on the next turn, and it was time for her Steelix. However, sadly, Steelix hits like a truck and now outspeeds us with Paralysis, so we didn't really stand much of a chance. After a couple more attempts, we finally had one where we made it past the Magnemite without being paralyzed, mostly because it went for Supersonic and missed, and we made it back to her Steelix with almost full health. Thankfully for us, Razor Leaf is neutral against Steelix, and, thanks to us outspeeding, we took it down. However, we were not home free yet, as our second Magnemite paralyzed us right as we healed up with Synthesis. Thankfully, we were strong enough to push through, and we won the battle, securing us the 6th badge of the run. We then headed to the Lake of Rage, where a shiny Gyarados was causing some trouble for the locals. So we did what any good Samaritan would have done and put it out of its misery. Now, quick tangent, a lot of people really love the Gen 2 games, and I understand why. I also grew up with them and have a lot of nostalgia for them. However, we are now at the part of the game where a real problem with these games comes to light. The middle part absolutely drags. This is the part where we meet up with Lance, who pretty much kills a guy and has us take down some underground transmitter thing. I don't know. Basically, it's a long area with tons of battles and, like, no payout. Maybe one day I'll do a video talking about the problems with Gen 2 and how I would fix them. But for now, just know we made it through this entire section with little to no issues. After that detour, we went to the next gym to take on Price, the Ice-type specialist. Now, once again, Ice is another type that our poor Chikorita has a disadvantage against, but thankfully all 3 of his Pokemon have secondary typings that allow our grass moves to hit him for super effective damage, making this battle an absolute cakewalk. Also, we were like 15 levels higher than his ace, but I really don't think that would have mattered that much. Oh, also, the level curve in this game is crap, but once again, that's a topic for another day. From here, we head on to do some more Team Rocket stuff. I don't know, something with the radio tower. To this day, I don't really get this part of the game. On the way there, we were greeted by our rival, but we're like 17 levels higher than his whole team, so clearly this battle was... Oh, yeah, I forgot. We're a frickin' Chikorita who's weak to literally everything. Like, seriously, look at his team. Every single Pokemon either resists our moves or can hit us for super effective damage. This is just unfair. This battle took a few more attempts than I expected it to, but eventually we were able to make it through. The rest of the Team Rocket stuff was boring and uneventful, so we did that, made our way through the ice path, and headed to the 8th and final gym leader, Clair. Clair is a Dragon-type specialist, which in this generation is easily the best type in the entire game. Not to mention, her ace Kingdra is a horrifying Pokemon with a great moveset and only one weakness, which we do not have moves for. We went into this battle at level 54, and thankfully for us, after only a few attempts, we had a run that worked out. We made it past her 2 Dragonairs. However, they were able to paralyze us and chip our health down to about 50%. Out came her Kingdra, which led off with Surf, which thankfully we resist, but we were fully paralyzed and couldn't attack the next turn. She then nailed us with a devastating Hyper Beam, and again, we were fully paralyzed. Thankfully, though, she had to rest on the next turn, and we were able to... Oh, come on! You gotta be kidding me with this She again used Hyper Beam, and we held on with 1 HP. And finally, we were able to heal up with Synthesis. On her recharge turn, we were able to heal once again and get back to full health. She then went for a Smoke Screen to lower our accuracy, but we were able to land a Poison Powder to start chipping away at this monster. She went for yet another Smokescreen, but I guess the game decided that I had suffered enough and we were able to land the next Body Slam. She yet again used Smokescreen, but the kid saw through the clouds and landed one last Body Slam, finishing off the match and securing us the 8th and final badge. After a quick game of frickin' hide and seek with Claire, seriously though, why are the Johto gym leaders such children? We caught a couple more HM users and made our first steps into the glorious and vastly superior Kanto region to head on to the Elite Four. At the end of Victory Road, we were greeted to one more battle with our rival, which this time I was expecting to be challenging, and yeah, I was right. His Sneasel was not a problem at all for us, but he then sent out his Golbat, which nailed us with a very annoying Confuse Ray. Due to terrible Confuse luck, we were able to take his Golbat down, but not after losing almost half of our health. He then sent out his ace, Typhlosion, who despite being almost 20 levels lower than us was a huge problem, since not only it has the type advantage, but it's also fully evolved. Turn 1 we were still confused, and of course we hit ourselves, and he took us to red health with a Flame Wheel. Not surprisingly, the next turn we were still frickin' confused, but thankfully we were able to use Synthesis to give us more than enough health to tank another Flame Wheel. We snapped out of confusion and healed again, with his next Flame Wheel knocking us to under half health. I decided to go for a Poison Powder, which hit on the first try, but he took us back down to red health. I healed the next 3 turns as we let him take some chip damage from Poison, and from there we were able to take him out with a Body Slam. Thanks to some bad paralysis luck, his Magneton was no cakewalk, and we made it through with only 37 HP left. He sent out his next Pokemon, Haunter, who hit us with a surprisingly underwhelming Shadow Ball before we used our last Synthesis. He then confused us, but we hit back-to-back Razor Leafs to take him out. Finally was his Kadabra. Turn 1, he set up a future sight, and we were fully paralyzed. Turn 2, he, for some reason, again used future sight, and we were able to poison him. Turn 3, he yet again used future sight. I don't think the Gen 2 AI fully understands how that move works. But again, we were fully paralyzed. His future sight finally landed, but somehow it missed? I honestly have no idea how that happened. I guess there's some weird quirk in the programming where it can fail, but I had no idea at the time, so this was pretty cool. The next turn, he, not surprisingly, set up another future sight. But we finally hit the body slam that took him out, winning us the match. It was now time for us to take on the biggest challenge of the entire run, the Elite Four. Going into our first attempt, our little Chikorita was level 58, which I had a feeling wouldn't be strong enough, but I decided to take a risk and see how far we could get. Our moveset was still the same that it had been for a majority of the run. Body Slam, Poison Powder, Razor Leaf, and Synthesis. And we were holding a Miracle Seed, which boosts the power of our grass moves ever so slightly. We went in to challenge the first member, Will, the Psychic-type master. Will's team was kind of a good news, bad news situation for us. Thankfully, Psychic and Grass do not share any notable interaction, hitting each other for neutral damage. However, all of his Pokemon have secondary typings that make things interesting. He leads off with Xatu, a flying type that resists our grass moves, but after 2 body slams, he went down. Up next was Jinx, which despite knowing Ice Punch, didn't actually use it, so that was no problem as well. He then sent out Executor, a fellow grass type, so we stuck with Body Slam. It went for Leech Seed. Once again, the AI in this game is definitely not the best, which failed and we were able to take it out, but not before we took some serious damage. Up next was his second Xatu, which we were able to paralyze on the first turn. Will used his potion, and I decided to use Razor Leaf to save Body Slam's PP, which after a few more turns took it down. Finally was his Slowbro, which a crit super effective Razor Leaf took out on the first turn. That's right, we were able to make it past the first member of the Elite Four on the first attempt. This was going to be an absolute cakewalk. It's not like the second member of the Elite Four has a team that completely walls us. That would be so crazy and unlike the rest of this game. Up next was Koga, a trainer whose team consists of Pokemon that completely wall us. Being a Poison-type master means that we are unable to poison any of his Pokemon. Not only that, but his entire team resists our grass moves, with almost all of his team having a 4 times grass resist due to their secondary typings. To top that off, his team loves to use Toxic, a move that badly poisons us, causing us to take more and more damage each turn, and he pairs that with evasive moves that allow him to stall us out while the poison eats away at our HP. Despite the odds being absolutely stacked against us, I've seen our little Chikorita take on obstacle after obstacle, and I knew we could do this one too. So, the battle began. He led off with Ariados, who took 2 body slams to bring down without dealing any damage to us. After that, he sent out Venomoth, who thankfully missed the Toxic, allowing us to take it down in 2 turns. Next came his Muck, who went for Minimize on the first turn. Thankfully, we landed Razor Leaf, and on turn 2, we took him out. Out next was his Crobat. Crobat was able to outspeed us and went for Double Team, while we missed our Body Slam. He then used Wing Attack to deal some serious damage, but we landed the second Body Slam to hit him right back. He tried his Toxic strategy again, which somehow missed, and I went for Razor Leaf to chip away a little more health and save PP for Body Slam. He tried Toxic again and missed. Spoiler, we did not get this lucky on every single run. And we were able to break through the Double Team and take him out with a Body Slam. We were then on to Koga's hardest Pokemon, and arguably the hardest Pokemon we have faced thus far, Forretress. Forretress is an absolute unit defensively, and with its Steel Bug typing, it resists or is immune to every single one of our moves. Even if you were able to make it this far without being poisoned, Forretress can chip away at your health and take you down with Explosion, which is exactly what happened on this run. I tried a few more times at the same level, and we did not have any runs that were even as close to as good as the first one. I decided to get the kid up to level 60 and try again, but it was the same story. Sometimes Will was able to take us out, but any time that he didn't, we were no match for Koga. He landed Toxic pretty much every other attempt, and his team would just stall us out as the poison did its job. So I grinded up to level 65 to try again. And this time, Chikorita was able to clutch it out and get the victory. We did it. We made it past a trainer whose entire team was built to wall us. But I knew there were some scary and difficult trainers ahead, and that the rest of our journey would not be a cakewalk either. Thankfully, the next trainer was Bruno, the fighting specialist. Bruno sucks. I'm not even going to waste your time with too many specifics, but this battle was a cakewalk compared to everything else we had done. So it's now time for an actual challenge, Karen. Karen's specialty is the dark type, which, like the psychic type, has no interactions with grass. However, her team is a lot more problematic than Will's due to the diverse typings that almost all pose problems for our little Chikorita. She leads off with an Umbreon, so we hit it with a body slam that paralyzed it. Umbreon got off a sand attack to lower our accuracy, but we hit our next Razor Leaf to take it down. She then sends out her Vileplume, but thankfully we land a critical body slam to one-shot it. After that comes her ace, Houndoom. We land a body slam to drop it to less than 1/3 health, and it hits us back with a flamethrower to drop us below half health. The next turn, she uses her potion, and we're able to land another body slam to drop it back into the yellow. Thankfully, we hit our next body slam as well, and down goes the Houndoom. But it only gets worse from here, as she sends out her next Pokemon, Gengar. I don't need to remind you that Gengar is probably the worst Pokemon we could go up against, since it's immune to 2 of our moves and resists the other damaging one. So I was ready for a fight. Turn 1, I used Synthesis to heal back to almost full health, and she used Curse to start to chip away at us. We hit a Razor Leaf to drop Gengar deep into the red, and she goes for Lick, which thankfully doesn't paralyze us. We land another Razor Leaf to finish off the monster that is Gengar. She then sends out her last Pokemon, Murkrow, which of course is another Pokemon that we have a type disadvantage to. But, thankfully, Murkrow was no match for a body slam from the kid, and we took it out, finishing the last member of the Elite Four. All that stands between us and beating the entire Pokemon League is one man. Lance, the murderer, the Pokemon League champion. For all intents and purposes, Lance is really a flying type master more than a dragon master. Either way, I knew this was going to be a big challenge for our little Chikorita. Lance led off with his Gyarados. The kid outsped and hit with a body slam, and the Gyarados responded with a rain dance, which is totally fine. We land another body slam to take it out. Up next is Lance's first of 3 Dragonites. Yeah, half his team is literally the same Pokemon. Gen 2 seems to have this problem a lot with some of these specialists. But anyways, we hit a body slam on the first turn. However, he countered us by paralyzing with Thunder Wave. He goes for a Blizzard that thankfully misses, and we nail yet another body slam to drop him into the red. He hits his next Blizzard to do some decent damage, but we take the Dragonite down with another body slam. Lance then sends out his Aerodactyl, who, after a quick back and forth, takes us down with a critical wing attack. Back to square one. The next few attempts never got past Koga, with us losing most of them to his fortress, so I knew we might need a different plan. I went back to the Goldenrod radio tower and picked up the Pink Bow, which boosts normal type moves by 10%. I figured we were using Body Slam a lot more than Razor Leaf, so the boost would be a little more helpful there. After a couple more attempts with the new strategy, we finally made it past Koga, but we actually lost to Bruno. Nah, I'm just playing. Bruno sucks. We made it past Karen as well, and once again we were up to Lance. Sadly, this time Dragonite landed a critical Blizzard and took us out easily. So I went back and trained the kid to level 69, because yes, I am a man-child, and went back to face the Elite Four once again. We made it through all 4 members of the Elite Four, and finally it was time to take on Bird Trainer Lance. Gyarados once again did nothing and went down to 2 body slams, but his first Dragonite was able to paralyze us before being taken out. Thankfully, this time we were able to land a critical Razor Leaf to take out his Aerodactyl, and he sent out a true monster, my favorite Pokemon of all time, Charizard. The kid was already pretty beaten up getting into this one, so sadly it only took 2 flamethrowers for Charizard to take us out. So I grinded up a few more levels to 72, and after losing 1 attempt to Karen's Houndoom, we made it back to Lance, and we're dead to Charizard. Okay, level 75 this time, and besides a couple of wipes along the way, we were once again 1 battle away from being the champion. Gyarados did nothing yet again, but this time we landed a crit on the first Dragonite, and we made it past at not only full health, but without getting paralyzed. Out came his Aerodactyl, and even though it did some damage with Wing Attack, we were able to take it out with a couple of Razor Leafs. Once again, we stood against the terrifying, majestic beast that is Lance's Charizard. We landed a Body Slam that knocked him all the way into the red, but he countered with a Flamethrower that did almost 100 HP worth of damage from us. But on the next turn, we hit back with yet another Body Slam, and we finally took the Charizard down. And we only needed a 30 level advantage to do so. Lance then sends out the strongest of his 3 Dragonites, and we use that as a chance to heal. He hits us with Outrage, which does surprisingly little, so we fight back with a Body Slam to take out half of his health. His second outrage takes us below half health, so we use synthesis to heal up before taking another outrage. We body slam it one more time to take it down. Lance sends out his final Dragonite, and not only do we land a body slam that paralyzes it, but he misses a Thunder Wave that would have paralyzed us in return. The next turn, our little Chikorita hits the pseudo-legendary with one last body slam to take it out, and we finally are the Pokemon League champions. Our little level 77 Chikorita defied all the odds, overcame a region that was built to hold him back, and now sat alone as the greatest Pokemon in the Johto region. But I think you guys all know we couldn't end our journey here. We have to take on the true final boss of this game, Red. To get to Red, you have to explore the entire Kanto region and beat all of the gym leaders. And from there, you can scale Mount Silver to fight the silent hero who's waiting for you. I'll save you guys some time and just say that the first 7 gym leaders were absolutely a breeze. We really had no problems with them. However, Blue was a little bit of a different story. His Arcanine put up a pretty decent fight, but in the end, we took it out and claimed our final of the 16 badges of this game. It was time to end this once and for all and take down Red. By the time we reached Red, our little Chikorita was level 83, so I decided to give it a try for poops and giggles. His Pikachu didn't put up much of a fight, but the Venusaur set up a sunny day before going down. Red then sent out his Charizard, and by now I'm sure you know how that went for us. At this point, I'd been playing this run for way too long, so I decided to grind up to level 95 before trying the fight again. On the second attempt at this level, we had a run where the Venusaur did not set up Sunny Day, and we were able to take it out without any damage. Charizard was still able to do a ton of damage, but was taken out by Body Slam, and we were on to the Espeon. Espeon was able to set up a Reflect, but we still took it down in 2 turns. Red then sent out his Snorlax, and after trading some Body Slams, we were able to take it down too, although we were only down to 45 HP. Red then sent out his final Pokemon, Blastoise, who sadly was able to survive a Razor Leaf and took us down with Blizzard. I tried at least half a dozen times at level 95, but none of those runs were able to make it back to the Blastoise before being taken out. So I grinded the remaining 5 levels until our little Chikorita was as strong as it could be. This was it. If we couldn't beat him after all of this, then maybe the run truly wasn't possible. Pikachu went down with no problems, as per usual, and thankfully the Venusaur went right for Solar Beam instead of setting up the Sun. Gen 2 AI, go figure. So we were back at Charizard with near full health. Charizard was able to land one Flamethrower before going down, but that hit dropped us over 200 HP. I know, Charizard truly is the greatest of all the Pokemon. He sent out his Espeon, and we used Synthesis to heal up a bit. Espeon hit a Psychic that dropped us below half health, and also set up a Reflect before going down. Out came the Snorlax, but we were able to hit a critical Body Slam, paralyze it, and get the full paralysis all on the same turn. Just a ridiculous turn of events. Finally, we were back at the last Pokemon of the entire run, Blastoise. Chikorita landed a Razor Leaf to drop Blastoise below half health, and survived a Blizzard with only 27 HP left. Chikorita then hit back with a Razor Leaf, which of course was a critical hit, and Red's last Pokemon went down. The former champion, knowing that he was in the presence of a true legend, smiled and disappeared. And with that, Pokemon Silver was beaten with nothing but a Chikorita. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, commenting, and checking me out over on Twitch. Until next time, my friends, stay safe out there, be nice to each other, and take care.